This is real. Everything you're about to hear is happening right now, in this country, behind closed doors, and the people in power are praying you never pay attention to it. They thought you'd stay quiet. They thought you'd stay distracted. They thought you'd scroll past. But here you are, and once you hear this, there is no going back. They gave it a harmless name, Project 2025. Sounds like a boring government document, right? Like another policy paper nobody reads. That's exactly the trap, because buried underneath that simple title is a plan so bold, so dangerous, and so calculated, it could rewrite American life almost overnight. And the scariest part? They didn't hide it very well. They hid it in plain sight, counting on the fact that most people would never bother to look. I looked. And what I found should terrify every single person listening to this. They want power without limits. They want control without accountability. They want loyalty instead of law. And they are building a roadmap to make it happen, step by step, agency by agency, job by job. This isn't conspiracy. This is a blueprint. It's written down, it's organized, it's scheduled. And if their side wins, this plan doesn't start in 10 years. It starts on day one. Here's the part no one warned you about. They are not just talking about new laws. They are talking about replacing people, real people, career officials, judges, experts, workers who protect public health, the environment, civil rights, elections. They want them gone. All of them out. Replaced with loyalists. No questions, no independence, just obedience. And if you think that can't happen in America, ask yourself why they built a full database of tens of thousands of people ready to slide into government jobs, pre-vetted not for skill, but for loyalty. Let that sink in. This isn't about political disagreement. This is about control. And the wildest part, most Americans have never even heard the words Project 2025. That silence is not accidental. It is strategic. The less you know, the easier it is to move pieces without resistance. Here's the truth they don't want said out loud. Democracy is messy, it's slow, it argues, it challenges, it says no to powerful people sometimes. And some people hate that. They don't want checks, they don't want balance, they don't want independent voices. They want a system where one leader's word is enough to change everything. That is what this plan is designed for. Many twist. While everyone was distracted by news cycles, social media drama, and election chaos, dozens of organizations were quietly working behind the scenes, writing a playbook for the next conservative administration. Not theory, not suggestion, a manual. Thousands of pages, real positions, real goals, real timelines. And yes, people connected to Trump have praised it. People connected to his circle have worked on it. Conservative think tanks, former officials, loyalists. This is not random. This is coordinated. What does it actually mean for you? It means the Department of Justice could stop being independent. It means the FBI could become a political weapon. It means immigration courts could lose all humanity. It means environmental protections could vanish overnight. It means civil rights offices could turn into decoration instead of defense. And it means elections themselves could be shaped by the very people who are supposed to be neutral. Here's a chilling detail. They want to bring back something called Schedule F. Most people don't know what that is. Sounds boring, but it would allow the president to fire tens of thousands of federal workers and replace them with loyal political appointees. Not for incompetence, not for corruption, but simply because they are not loyal enough. Loyal to who? Not the Constitution, not the country, to one man and his vision. Once that happens, whistleblowers disappear, internal resistance disappears, safeguards disappear. All that's left is power and silence. And guess what? They already tried this once near the end of Trump's last term. It didn't fully take effect because time ran out. So now they've prepared it better, stronger, faster, more deeply rooted. That's why it's called 2025. They're not waiting, they're planning. Here's the line no one is discussing on TV. This plan doesn't need Congress in the beginning. It uses executive authority. That means if the right person signs the right orders, the transformation can happen before the public even realizes what's happening. By the time people protest, the people in charge of responding to those protests may already be loyal to the same system they are fighting. Think about that. Another secret hiding in plain sight. They don't just want to control government. They want to reshape culture, education, family policy, media, speech. They want to blur the line between church and state. They want to roll back protections for LGBTQ people. They want to decide what kind of family is acceptable, what kind of love is valid, what type of life deserves recognition. And they don't have to ban it loudly. All they have to do is remove the protection quietly. That's the real danger, not loud chaos, but quiet erasure. Mini shock. Some of the language in their documents literally talks about dismantling entire departments, the Department of Education, Department of Homeland Security, or gutting them down to symbolic shells. If you've ever relied on federal student loans, disability protections, workplace safety rules, school funding, disaster relief, those are the departments they want to weaken or erase. The same agencies that helped during hurricanes, fires, pandemics, economic collapse turned into political leftovers. And one more thing, the Supreme Court changes made in previous years, those weren't random. They are part of a long game, a long legal chessboard where this plan finally has friendly court if challenged. It's a system built for permanence. That's why this moment matters. Right now, some of the loudest MAGA voices pretend they don't know what Project 2025 is. They downplay it, they joke about it, or they pretend it's exaggerated. But then you look at who wrote it, who funds it, who supports the players involved, and suddenly it's very clear. This is no joke. This is a rehearsal. Even media personalities tied to that world, people with massive platforms, avoid directly addressing it. Some change the subject, some go quiet, some defend it in coded language. The moment you push them to explain pages of it, they don't. That silence is an answer. And here's the truth that hits hardest. This plan doesn't care if you are Republican, Democrat, independent, religious, non-religious, rich, poor, immigrant, citizen. Once systems become absolute, victims stop being political. They become personal. History has shown this again and again. The same cheering crowds one day are the same shocked people the next. Mini twist. You don't lose freedom in one big dramatic moment. You lose it in dozens of small changes that seem technical, boring, administrative. By the time you notice, the exits have already been locked. That's why this conversation scares certain people in power, not because of drama, but because awareness spreads like wildfire once it starts. They don't fear anger, they fear understanding. Now, let me say something as clearly as possible. Questioning Project 2025 is not anti-American. Blind loyalty to power is what destroys nations. Real patriotism demands scrutiny, transparency, and courage. Real patriotism does not mean silence. The founders didn't create this country to hand it over to a political machine. They didn't build it on loyalty to one voice. They built it on the idea that power must always be challenged. And that is exactly what this script is doing right now. Many shock. Even people who worked in the previous administration have warned about this exact approach. They have said on record that a second term would look nothing like the first. It would be more organized, more ruthless, more focused, less resistance. That's because failure taught them lessons, and lessons turn into strategy. In private rooms, in meeting spaces, in think tanks, in conferences funded by billionaires and ideological donors, this plan has been refined. They thought the public would never bother reading it. They thought names and technical language would protect them. But that protection is fading. The moment you name something, it loses power. Project 2025 is not just a document. It is a warning. It is an alarm clock, and history will judge what we did when we finally heard it. So here is the final truth that should live in your mind long after this video ends. This is not left versus right. This is about control versus conscience. This is about silence versus courage. And someday, very soon, America is going to have to choose which voice it listens to. Not the loudest one, not the angriest one, not the most famous one, but the most honest one. And if you're still listening, it means you are not afraid of truth. Stay awake, stay loud, because this fight is for the future, and the future has already started. They called it 2025, but the consequences begin now.